I'm Allie Bloyd, and today we are going to be talking about how you can create a social marketing system for your local business or your local marketing agency. So, what is a social marketing system? Many of you have probably never heard that term. In reality, I started using this term about a year ago when I began to notice that too many business owners, too many marketers, they didn't understand that in order to see results from this type of advertising, you need an entire system in place. This is not a single ad or a couple of different ads that you're going to throw up and then see results. This is going to be a group of steps. It's going to be a group of platforms that will be set up that are all working together to funnel your audience through a process that ultimately results in them becoming a paying customer. When I talk about a social marketing system, this is something that when it is set up, it should be able to serve you for a very long period of time. This is not limited to just one social media platform, although of course we're going to talk heavily about Facebook and Instagram. It can really be used for any online marketing platform. So what I want you to do is to stop thinking about online marketing as an ad. That's not really what it is. The ad is a single piece of your social marketing system. So today we're going to be talking about what comprises a social marketing system, what the benefits are of having a system like this, and what are the steps that you can take to create one of these for yourself. So first of all, now that you know what I mean by social marketing system, what are the actual assets and elements that are going to comprise this? So number one, you need to have a strategy. That is part of your social marketing system. Without a strategy, you're going to be completely lost. You're not going to have the information that you need, the mindset that you need, or even really the understanding of who you're trying to serve without this initial strategy piece. I love doing strategy, whether it's content strategy, paid traffic, traditional marketing, it really doesn't matter. Strategy is crucial, and you need to take a step back and ask yourself, do I have a strategy or am I just winging it consistently? If you're winging it, there's no question why you're not seeing the results that you want to see. It's because you haven't done the work. You haven't taken the time to really say, what is it that I'm even trying to accomplish? Who am I trying to reach? What am I trying to reach them with? Is it a good fit? And do I have these steps in place or these assets in place that are ultimately going to fuel that goal? Second, you really need to have very strong, well thought out offers. Offers are something that I'm really passionate about. I love creating them. I love the thought process behind coming up with new offers for local businesses, for marketers, really whoever. Your offer is the foundation of success. Without an offer, no one's going to care about what you have. You've got to be crystal clear in terms of what it is you're selling, but really how it is packaged, what it includes, why it's included, and ultimately it's got to be something that your audience really wants, but it also needs to be something that fuels your financial and business goals. It should be something that plays to your strengths. We're definitely going to have episodes that are directly focused on offers, but this is such a major part of marketing success. And I would say that 9 times out of 10, none of my clients or my students ever have an offer before we begin working together. They may think they do. Sometimes they don't think that they do. I actually only have one client right now. He's one of the first clients I've ever had that is really strong in the offer creation department. He already had great offers. I did not have to come up with a single offer for him. I literally looked at what he was already doing and identified which offers I thought would be the best to focus on. So if you don't have an offer, you're not alone, but realize that it really shouldn't stand any longer. You should make this a priority, and you should make this a priority today. So we've got strategy, we've got offer. Well, what's next? I would say that optimizing your social media profiles is going to be the next step. That could be your Facebook business page, your Facebook personal profile, your Instagram profile, whether that's for personal or business. It could be your YouTube channel. It could be your Twitter account. Whatever social media platforms you're on, odds are you haven't really spent a lot of time identifying what you could improve on those, how you can be more clear and concise about who you help and how you help them, the call to action and the next step that you want them to take, sending them to the right place in order to take that step, really getting crystal clear on your branding, making sure that all of your profiles are cohesive. They have the same look and feel. Someone could go across all platforms and they should know that this is you, this is your business. Organic social profiles honestly don't get a ton of attention, but they're a very important piece in maximizing your advertising. Because when you are marketing on social media platforms, you will naturally get more traffic to those profiles. Just because you have an ad, it doesn't mean that someone just clicks on the ad or goes to your landing page. They often will click on your name, go to your profile, take a look at you as a business before they decide if they want to convert. Having a great cover photo, having a call to action that's linkable in that cover photo, having a really clear profile picture in terms of your logo or a photo of yourself. If you want to build any type of personal brand, and it doesn't matter if you're a local business or an online business, personal branding is so important. I recommend a great photo of the owner or you, if that's who you are. Sometimes the logo is fine, but if you can have a person representing the business, I always think that that's ideal. The next step is creating that content plan. So your content plan and your strategy are totally different. It's both a planning element, but your content plan is strictly focused around your content, what you're going to be posting on these different profiles, what you're going to be doing on your blog, what you'll be doing via email, what you'll be doing for video or maybe audio. Too many businesses have no content plan. We talked about in one of our recent episodes why content marketing matters, how you can really create that content plan and what you need to be thinking about. It's so, so important in getting your audience to identify themselves as interested and funneling people through those different awareness levels until ultimately they end in that decision phase in which your business should be the one that they choose. Your content plan needs to be focused around your offer or offers. Your content and offers should flow seamlessly between each other. You really don't want to waste time talking about things that have nothing to do with the ways that you can help people, at least initially. There are absolutely content pieces that you can create that are for ongoing engagement, staying top of mind for your consumers, and that's actually part of the system. But in terms of what you really want to focus on creating first, it should absolutely be very tied to those offers that you've already created. So we've got your strategy, we have your offers, your organic social profiles, your content plan. Well, what's next? I would say that your actual ads are going to be something that you will think about. Okay. This is not the time to launch your ads, but your ads are really the next step in that process. So you need to say, where am I going to be advertising? Is this going to be Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Pinterest, whatever it is? You need to be clear on those platforms, because if you're not going to be able to develop creative that matches the look and feel and best practices of those platforms. Understanding which types of creative are going to work best, how to effectively develop video, how to come up with written content that will convert, things that you can be asking for from your audience for user-generated content, and really collecting all of those assets that you need: testimonials, reviews, different pieces of video content, and then the written content that you will actually weave in to your paid advertising to ultimately get those conversions that you're looking for. The ads are something that obviously encompass quite a bit. It's not just what you see visually with that creative and with the copy. It's also the back end, how that is structured, how those campaigns are set up, if you're even setting them up the right way, how you're going to scale those campaigns, how you're going to test those campaigns. So lots of fine details that go into that, but that really is the next thing that you're going to take into account. Next, we're going to think about your destinations. Okay, so primarily when I say destinations, I'm talking about where you are sending someone to try and get them to convert. So your destination is typically going to be either a funnel or a landing page. It could be a form of some type. It could be a messenger automation or lead generation flow. So there's several different ways that you can collect leads or places that you can send leads, and ultimately those assets have to be developed. I highly recommend testing your destinations. One destination does not always work the best for every business, every industry, and in every market. We always do testing between those three things, and it's really interesting to see which ones perform best in which markets. Creating those three different types of assets can seem overwhelming to certain people, but there are absolutely different templates or examples that you can utilize to create those a little bit faster. However, they need to be created. You can't expect someone to convert if they don't have the information or the format that is conducive to them converting. You've got to put the effort in if you want to convince someone essentially to work with your business. If you're not willing to put the effort in, why should they care? Why would they think that you're going to put the effort in as a business they're working with if you're not even willing to do it for your marketing and your customer acquisition, which is the single most important piece of your business in most cases? You've got to have a great product and service, obviously, but if you don't have a way to bring in new customers, if no one ever knows about it, how valuable is that business? I would venture to say not valuable at all, because you have to have customers to actually have a profitable business. So once you've created those destinations, there really needs to be a next step from that destination. For most of my clients and students, it's going to be setting up a call or scheduling an in-person appointment or consultation. Sometimes it is a little bit more long-term. This could be some type of giveaway. This could be a lead magnet, which ultimately still fuels those same goals. But you really need to think, what is the next step? Once somebody gives me their information, what happens next? I would really encourage you to not stop there. Okay, I've been at this a long time, so I've really tried and tested so much, and I've seen the way that businesses respond to these things. If you simply collect the information with no next step, a couple of things are probably going to happen. So first of all, you are not going to be very aggressive in following up with those leads. And it's unfortunate, and sometimes I don't really understand why that is, but too many businesses will start getting these leads, which they say they want. They say this is their number one priority. But when those leads start coming in, no one takes action on them. And adding a next step doesn't necessarily change that completely, but it does give the consumer a way to show more intentional or extreme interest. When that happens, you as a business will say, wow, people really want to set appointments with me, or people really want to have a call with us, or people really want to purchase what we have. Because as a local business, you can still sell online. You can still have people pay for things through your advertising. That's completely doable. So you really need to give them that next step. You want to make it easy for someone. And the problem is that if you don't give the consumer a next step and you don't follow up with them quickly, that person is getting colder and colder by the minute. You have to understand that when you are marketing to your audience on any of these platforms, they were not looking for you when they found you. It doesn't mean they're not in the market for what you can do for them. It doesn't mean they're not interested in working with you. It means that they were not actively looking for you when that conversion happened. So that's a great thing in a lot of ways, because you're able to reach a much larger segment of the market than you would be able to if you relied on something like search marketing alone. Only about 3% of any audience in any industry or market is ever actively looking for what you have. Then there's about another 15% that are still passively looking, or they're in the market, but they have not started that process of seeking out help for it. Those people are going to be on social media. The people who are actively looking, they're also going to be on social media. But when they convert, they weren't looking for you. So believing that you are at the top of their priority list is completely misguided. You have to realize that as a business owner, you've got to work a little bit for the sale. This isn't something where sales are going to consistently fall into your lap without you putting in the effort that it takes to make that happen. So go ahead, understand what that next step is, which really should be already decided in your initial strategy. And then you want to create the assets that will guide them towards that next step. So maybe it's your checkout page and the actual process of someone purchasing something from you online. A lot of times it's going to be a booking system, allowing someone to either request a call right away, potentially connecting your business and the consumer immediately, or they're going to request that consultation or schedule a call with you to go ahead and get started with that next step. In doing that, if you do it the right way, you should see anywhere between 30 and 50% of people self-booking or taking that next step. The goal should always be to optimize that step most aggressively, in my opinion, because those people tend to be the most qualified. That's just the way it works. But that does not mean that the people who do not self-book or take that next step are not qualified. Maybe it just means that they were busy or distracted and they didn't realize there was a next step. Maybe it means that they were pretty flexible and they didn't feel like they needed to schedule a call because they were ready whenever you were going to call them. Too many people assume that those leads are not worth their time if they have this system. So it's a good and a bad thing. However, those are the same people that would have disregarded any leads that came in anyway, because if you didn't have this system, everyone would have been a lead that didn't take the next step. You've got to see everyone who signs up for your offer as somebody who wants to potentially work with you, but it doesn't mean they automatically are going to. There is still a sales process that has to take place. The sales process is that next step in our social marketing system. Marketing and sales go hand in hand. Online companies, for them, it's really the same. For local businesses, there's a clear divide, but they need to be interweaved very closely. This is one of the biggest problems that I see with not only local businesses, but marketing agencies, which, are part local business, part online business, really any business that has a sales process that needs to take place. I see so much missed opportunity in this area. So you really need to take that strategy, take all of these steps that you're putting into place and say, okay, what now? When someone schedules the appointment, when someone schedules the call, or when someone reaches out and says they want to talk to us, what do we do to really take advantage of that or maximize that interaction? That should be having some type of sales script. Okay. A sales script doesn't mean you have to read from a piece of paper. It could be more like a framework, but you want to have something that can be standardized regardless of who's taking that call or who's conducting that appointment. The variations that you will find between the people who work for you in terms of the way that they engage or interact with your leads or prospects, it's probably pretty significant. And if you've never taken the time to listen in on their calls, to, check and see what their appointments are like, sit in and be a fly on the wall, or even kind of take a look at the communications that they're having with leads and prospects, you're probably going to have your mind blown if you do that for the first time. You may just have a nervous breakdown. In some instances, you may say, you are losing money for my business because you simply don't know how to interact with these customers. You don't know how to close the sale or even ask for the sale. But as much as that can be a problem with the individual, that starts at the top. People need instruction. They need frameworks. They need guidance, and you as the leader have to give that to them. So if you're just letting people do whatever feels good for them in that moment, you're going to have huge variations, not only between the individuals, but between the days with a single individual. If I'm having a great day, maybe I'm crushing it with leads. If I'm having a bad day, maybe I don't even give them a call back. Maybe someone reaches out and I say, I don't feel like talking to people today. You've got to be very dedicated to observing your sales process and your sales staff and creating assets at every single stage of interaction that gives guidance on what information needs to be taken from the prospect, what the focus needs to be for the person on the phone or in the appointment. I can't tell you how many times I've had clients who they get a lead on the phone who has requested an appointment or said, I want an appointment. They get them on the phone and they say, hey, so looks like you had some questions. How can I help you? No, that person did not have questions. They wanted an appointment. It doesn't mean they won't have questions, but you need to have a singular focus in guiding that person, in controlling that conversation to lead to the end goal that you want to achieve. Sometimes people are just not good on the phone, or they're not good in appointments, which I would hope is not the case if you've hired them for some type of position that's going to involve that. But you've really got to pay attention. If you're letting the lead or the prospect control the conversation, it's already lost, in my opinion. If you're sitting there and waiting for the lead to say something, you're not even, prompting them with questions or telling them what you want them to do next, you're already losing. Think about what you see on social media. And this is really just more about, psychology in a way, but people do what you tell them to do. So how many posts have you seen that say, drop a comment if you want blank, or drop a GIF if you want blank, or post the 15th picture in your camera roll, or copy and paste this status if, okay? Those are calls to action. Those are very clear instructions about what you want someone to do in order to get X, Y, or Z. People do it. People do it in mass quantities. I've used those strategies personally. I use them in advertising, and it's because they work. If you tell people what you want from them, you are so much more likely to get it. If you just leave it up to someone, they're just going to keep going. They're just going to keep living their daily life. But if you tell them, great, I'm so happy to get you on the phone. I see you're interested in setting up a consultation with our team. What's the best day and time for you? You go directly for what you want. If they say, well, I had a couple questions, that's awesome. We will absolutely answer all of your questions at the consultation. Is it better for you during morning or evening? So you just continue to circle back around to your ultimate goal. There's so many different things in the sales process that you really need to be paying attention to, but that is a huge piece of your social marketing system if you want to be financially successful, which should be your only goal. If you do not have this piece, you could have the best advertising in the world and you will see minimum return on investment. Again, it's something that we've seen with our own clients at times, unfortunately. The marketing that we're doing for them is producing a mass amount of leads, booked calls, booked appointments, but the person on the other end doesn't know what to do with it. Regardless of the guidance or the resources or the tools that we've given them, it still has to be a personal decision to want to improve that part of your business and to use the resources or tools that are at your disposal. It's similar to businesses that have advanced programs like Infusionsoft or ActiveCampaign. No one is even using a fraction of what they have access to because it's too much work, or it's too confusing, or it's out of their comfort zone. It's the same thing here. If you're interested, you'll do what's convenient. If you're committed, you'll do what's necessary. The next step in this process goes back to that sales system, but it's really about follow-up and follow-up campaigns that are automated, because this will allow you to get a lot more targeted communication, a lot more communication in terms of quantity, hopefully a higher quality of communication, because you're going to be really thinking these things through. And you're going to have campaigns for a variety of situations. So when a lead comes in through your social marketing system, there are a lot of directions in which they can go. All right. Somebody can come in, maybe they book the appointment, maybe they don't. Okay. That is really the first divide. The person who books the appointment is not going to get the same follow-up campaign that the person who signs up but does not book gets. So you have to be treating these people as individually as possible based on the actions that they're taking. All right, what's next? So in terms of the leads that do not book, they're going to be getting one campaign. So one group of those people will end up booking through that campaign, or will end up reaching out directly to the business. Okay, that person needs to be removed and added to a different campaign. Let's say this lead is completely unresponsive. They just never respond at all. That person needs to go into a different campaign. Maybe you talk to them and it's not a good fit. That person also needs to be removed from campaigns. Or maybe you send them into a campaign that talks about a different product or service. If somebody has booked that appointment, maybe they show up to the call. Okay, that should be one campaign afterwards. Maybe they do not show up to the call. That's going to be a different campaign. If they never respond after they don't show up, they could go back around into that same campaign that the unresponsive lead went into, because ultimately, even though they booked, they didn't show up, they're not responding, same situation. If they do get on the phone with you, they have a great experience, you're going to continue to put them into different campaigns that match the actions that they are taking. Follow-up is crucial. It needs to be really well thought out. It needs to have clear goals for every campaign. It needs to follow that process that somebody is going to go through when they come into your system. You need to be thinking about every direction that they could take and what you want them to do next. As you can see, there is a lot that goes into this. It's not even completely through in reality at that point, because once somebody closes, we actually want to do other things for them. We want to encourage them to review. We want to encourage them to share via social media, or refer their friends, or to buy more frequently, or to buy in larger quantities. Whatever it is, there are next steps after that process. But for the purpose of this training, that's really what we're going to cover. So we've got your strategy, we've got your offer, we've got your organic profiles, we've got your content plan and your content, we've got the ads themselves, we've got your destinations being forms, funnels, or some type of messenger or direct messaging campaign. Then we've got next steps. So is it booking for an appointment? Is it call booking? Is it activating some type of offer or reward? What is that next step, and how are you going to get them there? What is the process that you're going to send them to that next step? And what are those physical assets going to look like? How are those going to be created? Then you're talking about your internal sales processes. Then you've got your follow-up campaigns that happen once somebody comes into your system. There are also kind of variations of this. One part of that could be building your email list. So that's really going to fall into ads or organic content in a lot of ways. But that could be a different direction in which someone is coming into your system. That also needs to have a clear next step, a clear goal, and a clear path to get someone there. You can't expect that someone opts into your email list and converts. It is so rare that it happens like that, yet too many businesses just automatically assume that that's what's going to happen. So I want you to stop thinking about your online marketing in a way that is too simplified. Yes, you should want to simplify things, but the truth of the matter is that you need all of this in order to be really successful. The benefits are clear. It's going to be more well thought out. it's going to be more trackable, it's going to be more customized to the needs of your audience, and it's going to be more profitable. So if you don't think your business could benefit from those things, then you really shouldn't be listening, but those are everything that you should want in your marketing as a business owner. So next step, how do you create this system? I know we've talked about a lot, and I don't want to overwhelm you, but I want to be real with you. These are things that you need. The first step is taking the time to plan and strategize. Step one is strategy. You've actually got to do that if you want any of the rest of this to be possible. You then want to take this and create a very clear process of execution. So for us, we do all of these things in my local marketing mastery program. That's what this program is designed to do, to help you create or optimize all of these different assets. So some of our students, they already have certain pieces of this, but they are either not set up correctly, not completely set up, or they're not working together as a whole. So we help them create this entire social marketing system. We want to map out very clearly which assets will be created when. So having this plan that's based on time, where you have very clear deliverables of what you want to accomplish. If you have a plan, that is the best way to execute any plan, is to then add dates and deadlines to that plan. You also want to set individual tasks for each of these pieces. That's something else that we offer in this program. I have a student program tracker. So it does break down every single one of these assets, when we're going to cover it, and then those individual tasks or steps that need to be taken for each one. So we've started with this big picture, then we've broken it down to individual assets or steps that need to be addressed or created or redone. Then we've broken those individual steps into a list of tasks or deliverables that need to be created. Then you're simply going to start working through that plan. I suggest that you start with the foundational pieces first. So if you are not very experienced in marketing, you really need to understand the foundations of advertising on the platforms that you're choosing to advertise on. You have to make sure that those best practices, those do's and don'ts in terms of the technology and how to set up those ads, you really need to understand that first and foremost. Then you really need to focus on great copywriting strategies. What is copy that converts? How am I going to do that? Because writing or copy is such a huge part of all of this. You're going to have writing on your profiles. You're going to have writing in your content. You're going to have to be able to write out your offers and clearly describe them. Your ads are going to have writing. Your landing pages and funnels and forms and messenger, it's going to have writing. Your sales process is going to have a lot of written content. Your follow-up plans and your next steps, those are all going to focus around written content. So understanding the core of great copywriting is so critical. You also want to do the same for creative. If you don't know what type of creative converts well, especially on individual platforms, you're going to have a hard time coming up with something that does work. There are do's and don'ts of every platform, and then there's also some universal truths that you can rely on. So getting those foundational pieces set up is crucial. You also need to understand your buyer personas or your avatars. That is huge. It should be done in your strategy, but you've got to make sure that you actually have those things down pat. Then you're just going to start executing one asset at a time. That process that I just detailed is the exact process that we use in local marketing mastery, and it's because it works. Does that mean that everyone follows the plan perfectly? No. You can't expect everyone to, but it does give them a much higher probability of success, but it also gives them just a clear step checklist that they can look at and say, okay, this is what I've done, this is what I haven't done, this is what I'm missing. The other cool thing that we do is actually provide templates, assets, and resources for every single one of these steps. So you don't have to start from scratch. You're usually starting from about 50%. And then you're going to go in and you're going to edit these things to work for your goals, your business, your offer, your audience. So if you guys do not have a social marketing system, this is the time that I want to encourage you to really reevaluate what you're doing and if you've actually put in the work that's necessary to deserve to see great financial returns from your online marketing. It could be that you just need to outsource this, that you are never going to be able to do it yourself, at least in your own opinion, in terms of time potentially. But it could be that you need to see this as a high enough priority to take action and to actually put this, into creation, to actually get this done for the first time. So like I said when we started, this is not something that will just serve one platform. So let's say, Facebook just disappears one day. Nobody uses it anymore. It's not a viable option. It doesn't matter. These are the same assets that you will use on any platform. The only thing that ultimately becomes different is the ad. You still are going to have to send someone somewhere. There's still going to have to be a before and after process. And the concept of social media marketing will remain the same. It doesn't matter which platforms. It just matters that you have this and you have this understanding. And then you're going to be able to utilize this system in so many different ways. It's also something that you can replicate and use for other businesses or other segments of your business. So that's all I've got for you today. I know this was kind of a lot in terms of maybe what you need to do. If this is really overwhelming you right now, or if this is giving you anxiety, it probably means that you don't have these things. And if you don't have these things, you're not going to see the results that you could see. So the question is, how committed are you to growing your business, to creating a predictable system for growth? If you're committed, you'll do what's necessary. If you're interested, you'll do what's convenient. And for people who do not make their living from marketing, most of this won't be convenient. So it's really up to you to decide which group you're in. And if you are in the group that's been interested, you've been dabbling, you've tried these different things and you have not followed through, you haven't finished them, or maybe you have a few of these pieces, but you're still missing some pretty important steps, this is my challenge to you. Get clear, get focused, get excited at the possibilities, but get committed. There is no better time than the present. As the saying goes, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today.